Title: The Haunting Sands. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows across the deserted beach. The rhythmic lapping of the waves against the shore was the only sound to break the eerie silence. Sarah pulled her sweater tighter around her as a chill wind swept across the sand. She glanced nervously at the darkening sky, a sense of unease settling in the pit of her stomach. She had come to the beach seeking solace, hoping the vast expanse of the ocean would calm her troubled mind. But as darkness descended, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was not alone. Ignoring the knot of fear tightening in her chest, Sarah forced herself to continue walking along the shoreline. The sand was cool beneath her feet, the salty air tangy on her tongue. She tried to focus on the beauty of the ocean, the soothing rhythm of the waves, but every shadow seemed to loom larger. Every whisper of the wind sounded like a distant cry. As she walked, Sarah's thoughts drifted back to the reason she had come to the beach in the first place. It had been a year since her brother Michael had disappeared while on a fishing trip. The authorities had searched tirelessly, but no trace of him had ever been found. Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to his disappearance, something sinister lurking beneath the surface. Lost in her thoughts, Sarah nearly stumbled over something half buried in the sand. She bent down to investigate, her heart pounding in her chest. It was a tattered piece of fabric, faded and waterlogged. She picked it up, her fingers trembling as she examined it in the dim light. It was a fragment of Michael's favorite fishing shirt. A cold shiver ran down Sarah's spine as she stared at the fabric clutched in her hand. What was it doing here, so far from where he had disappeared? Was it a sign, a clue left behind for her to find? Her mind whirled with possibilities, each one more terrifying than the last. She glanced around nervously, suddenly acutely aware of how isolated she was on the deserted beach. The darkness seemed to press in around her, suffocating her with its oppressive weight. Sarah took a deep breath, steeling herself against the rising tide of fear. She couldn't afford to give in to panic, not now. If there was a chance that Michael was still out there, still alive, she had to find him. With newfound determination, Sarah set off down the beach, following the trail of fabric as it disappeared into the darkness. The sand shifted beneath her feet, the sound of her footsteps echoing eerily in the silence. She kept her eyes fixed on the ground, scanning for any further signs of her brother's presence. After what felt like hours of walking, Sarah stumbled upon a small cave nestled into the side of a rocky outcrop. The entrance was partially obscured by driftwood and seaweed, but something about it drew her in, a primal instinct urging her to explore its depths. Taking a deep breath, Sarah stepped cautiously into the mouth of the cave. The air was cool and damp, the sound of the waves muffled by the surrounding rock. She moved deeper into the darkness, her hands outstretched to feel her way along the rough walls. As she ventured further into the cave, Sarah's heart began to race. The darkness seemed to press in around her, suffocating her with its oppressive weight. She could hear strange noises echoing in the distance, a faint scratching sound that set her teeth on edge. Just as she was about to turn back, a faint glimmer of light caught her eye up ahead. With a surge of hope, Sarah quickened her pace, eager to discover the source of the mysterious glow. As she rounded a corner, Sarah stumbled into a small chamber illuminated by a dim shaft of moonlight filtering in through a crack in the ceiling. The walls were covered in strange symbols, their meaning lost to time. In the center of the chamber stood an ancient stone altar, its surface worn smooth by centuries of use. But it was what lay atop the altar that made Sarah's blood run cold. A figure lay sprawled across the stone slab, its features obscured by shadows. With trembling hands, Sarah reached out to touch the figure, her fingers brushing against cold, clammy skin. With a gasp, Sarah recoiled in horror as the figure stirred, its eyes snapping open to reveal empty sockets staring back at her. She stumbled backward, her heart pounding in her chest as she realized the truth. It was not her brother lying on the altar, but something far older, far more sinister. A creature of the night, awakened from its slumber by her unwitting intrusion. Before Sarah could flee, the creature lurched forward, its skeletal hands reaching out to grab her. She screamed as its icy grip closed around her throat, choking off her cries for help. As darkness closed in around her, Sarah could only pray that someone, anyone, would find her before it was too late. But on the deserted beach, with the waves crashing against the shore and the wind howling through the night, her screams went unheard, lost in the vast expanse of the ocean. And so Sarah became just another victim of the haunted sands. her fate sealed by the malevolent forces that lurked beneath the surface, waiting to claim their next unsuspecting prey.